How may I help you, gentlemen?
I am Sherlock Holmes. Might I have a word with Lord Lawton, please?
Might I say, it's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Holmes, and Dr. Watson, I presume. I'll see if his lordship is at home.
The house has rather gone to seed.
Is it unseemly to wonder at the causes of its decline?
On the contrary, it would be unnatural not to. The details could be quite delicious. The decline appears to have been precipitous.
There may have been tragedy or financial misadventure. It would be indecent to speculate.
Rubbish. Few human activities are so banal as to be undeserving of healthy curiosity. Reversal of fortune is by definition interesting. You've remarked, I imagine, that Jenkins is devoted to billiards.
Indeed, the quantity of chalk dust on his waistcoat bespeaks a pathological compulsion more than a relaxing diversion.
I wonder if I might somehow use his devotion to the game. Would you describe me as a tactful person, Watson?
That is not the first adjective that springs to mind, though you might learn tact. Dame Experience is the best teacher, though we often suffer by her tutelage.
Is there any expression more infuriating and idiotic than that one?
What are you rattling about, Holmes?
At home, that's what. Ridiculous locution. He either tells us that Lawton's at home, which we already know, or claims that Lawton is not at home, which is demonstrably false. The whole business makes a liar of him, and fools of us.
Calm yourself. It's merely a social convention.
Well, it's daft, and more inconvenient than most of those ridiculous relics. If the man won't see us in, what's wrong with plain English?
Lord Lawton regrets that he is not at home. You may leave your card if you wish.
I am always available at 221B Baker Street. You've been having a good run at the table?
Decent. I'm playing defensively. Left his lordship without much to shoot at. He'd never win a game if I knew the diamond system.
Please inform Lord Lawton that this is not a social call. We have critical business to discuss with him.
Very well, Mr. Holmes. That may make a difference to him. No, my lord, I will not. Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson, my lord.
My position requires further reflection. Billiards is fascinating, don't you think? At my brother's request, I am looking into the disappearance of the formula from the ministry.
And as a courtesy to your brother, I interrupt my leisure to receive you, but you abuse civility. The committee eventually judged that so-called disappearance to be unworthy of our attention, evidently not dissuaded by our good sense. You come here to waste my time.
I could understand it. After investigation and due deliberation, you had concluded that nothing untoward had occurred. But such was not the case. Why was the inquiry so precipitously and inconclusively terminated?
I won't be cross-questioned by you, Mr. Holmes, on this or any other subject.
Are you aware that Mycroft has been injured in an explosion?
I'm sorry, but that's hardly my affair.
I think an attempt was made on his life. The blast was related to the disappearance of the formula.
It's the nature of your business to think so, isn't it? Conspiracy theories are mother's milk to the consulting detective.
Are you purposely offensive or merely obdurate?
It is not my intention to be either. But if I am, it does not concern me. You have no position, no standing, and no authority.
Do you recall that gouty old fellow from Hampshire, Watson? Kept gerbils?
I do, Holmes. His affliction was so advanced, we swore he could chalk his billiard cue with his knuckles.
Very economical, I suppose. We know Lawton doesn't want to talk. We don't know why.
An accurate, though not particularly helpful observation.
Has the subject closed his mouth? He may be more forthcoming on less volatile topics.
Besides which fork to use with the fish course?
A touch, Watson. A distinct touch, for all his information may be worth. Why have some of the furnishings been allowed to deteriorate?
Want of money, of course. The present Lord's personal habits have impoverished us and ruined our reputation.
I'm sorry, Jenkins. It must be a sore trial for you. Pleased to make your acquaintance, Mrs. Mason. Is Mr. Pratt available?
No, he's not, more's the pity. Out entirely too often. Probably carousing with undesirables. Mr. Mason always said, and he knew.
Our business is rather urgent, madam. When will he return?
For all he confides in me, I might be the char.
Have you had any recent word of Pratt, Mrs. Mason?
Not a syllable. No doubt he's idling somewhere in the devil's grasp, abusing mind and body with strong drink and who knows what else.
Has Pratt had any recent callers?
I'm hardly his keeper, Mr. Holmes. But since you ask, no. And no surprise either, moody as he is.
Anything worthy of our immediate attention, Doctor?
This woman is passing strange. What is she doing here?
She's nosy, I suspect, and lonely. But I'm sure she believes she's protecting her investment, completely within her rights as a landlady.
She has peculiar ideas of a cleaning costume. Proof that beauty is vain.
Proverbial wisdom has it that one can be cured of every folly but vanity. We may have cause to test the truth of that pearl. May we examine the premises?
I thought you had a look of prospective tenants. These rooms are entirely reasonable and well maintained. Rather like myself.
Mr. Pratt is giving up the flat?
He's in arrears. I'm thinking of eviction.
Might we see the other room?
That would be highly improper, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Pratt doesn't even like me in there. He may be irresponsible, but he has some claim to privacy.
The room lacks traditional amenities, and the decor is rather eccentric, wouldn't you say?
Indeed, and he was civil servant. Oh, but he was born in India, you see. Quite bohemian, raised like a gypsy.
I fail to grasp the connection between bad taste and gypsies.
Never had a proper English family. No one to show him the right way. Artisans and habits, careless in dress. Housekeeping not above reproach. If I didn't tidy occasionally, his room would be a sty.
Ah, yes, I understand that type of remark all too well. May I leave my card with you?
I'm not his personal secretary, Mr. Holmes.
Nor did I presume it. Perhaps you could send a note to 221B Baker Street when he returns.
I suppose I might. I'll tell him you were here.
I would be grateful for your trouble. As a courtesy, matron, I inform you that we are going inside.
Given your reprehensible behaviour, Mr. Holmes, I don't think so.
Were I to inform the director that you left a patient untended for hours and exposed him to a contagious virus, she is sure to take a very dim view of your performance. You have been negligent, matron, and you have violated your own precious hospital policy.
The patient required no special treatment. He was admitted with a minor head injury.
That's as may be, but his fall resulted from his sickness. He is critically ill with a respiratory ailment. Exposure to flu could kill him. Shall we keep your oversight among ourselves?
Yes.
Please be more careful in future. Mycroft, what about Professor Dewar?
Why did Cain kill his brother?
Yes, I know he's Professor Abel's colleague. I meant, where is Dewar now? Is he in danger?
No, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full, sir. Where was the boy? The man who made it did not want it. The man who bought it did not use it. The man who used it did not know it. What's it? The 9th prime.
Enough of riddles, Mycroft. Speak plainly.
So very difficult to find really decent fish and chips. Buffalo chips are used for fuel in the American West. West of Chelsea, all mothers.
I apologize, brother. I was frustrated. I've got the pieces now. He has a remarkable mind, Watson. I know where Dewar is.
Well, if you tell me, we'll both know.
In the child's rhyme, the boy lived in the lane. The answer to the riddle is certainly a coffin, and the 9th prime is 19. Dewar's at 19 Coffin Lane. That's over the river at Bermondsey. We can go if you're ready. Professor Dewar, I am Sherlock Holmes. Mycroft is my brother.
I perceive a resemblance. What do you want?
Dr. Watson and I hope that you might help us with an inquiry.
I've heard of you, sir. We can talk while I work. I'm in the middle of something rather delicate, so you might choose your spot carefully.
Do you recognize this document, Professor? It was in the stove.
No. Deuced strange storage place, but it's safer than most. I never light a fire. Mycroft must have put it there. Put it back, won't you? That won't do, Mr. Holmes. Put it back, please. It'll save me a lot of work.
Have you recently received any unwanted visitors?
None but yourselves. I'm accustomed to working without interruption.
Does your family know where you are?
I'm a bachelor, Mr. Holmes. My whereabouts are my own affair.
How do you come to be here?
Your brother insisted, said the new formula had gone missing and that he wanted me out of the way until it was recovered. Most pleased to find this place decently equipped with research apparatus.
Mycroft has been injured in an explosion, Professor.
Nothing to do with my work, is it?
His club blew up. The police claim it was an accident, but we believe a bomb was purposefully set, that Mycroft was the target, and that the act was related to the theft of your formula.
Your hypothesis is based on sound data?
It is, and had he been as concerned for his own safety as he was for yours, we might not be speaking. Professor, what is the subject of your formula?
While Abel and I were working with the ballistite, that's Nobel's latest, we refined an extraordinarily powerful explosive. It's more versatile and less volatile than nitroglycerine. The strategic implications were obvious,
So you registered the components in compliance with the Foreign Office's Byzantine requirements?
I've made some further modifications that will affect bomb design and detonation velocity, but by and large the formula stands as written.
Could you replicate the formula from memory?
Though with great difficulty, perhaps. The formula describes a complex and unique mixture of chemical compounds.
Presumably, the acquisition and manufacture of such materials would exceed the means and expertise of all but a handful of state agencies.
I take your point. No one could build a bomb in the basement with it. Mycroft wasn't felled by my work.
Do you have a copy of the formula?
Oh, Mycroft said something about keeping a copy, but I'm afraid I couldn't lay my hands on it at the moment.
Where is Professor Abel?
He's lecturing in America, preaching to the converted or laying pearls before swine, depending on your prejudices. His family's with him.
Can the cause of an explosion be easily determined from its consequences?
Rarely, but with application and the proper research tools, one can often discover the cause from the type of fire, the nature of the physical damage, and the organic consequences.
Dr. Watson discovered some fulminate of mercury, but we exhausted the supply in our experiments.
If the explosion was initiated by a bomb, there is likely to be more evidence of the fact, a timing or detonation device, chemical burns, or some such.
Is that a copy of your formula, Professor? It appears to have your mark on it.
If it does, it's mine.
Professor, could you analyze this spring? I have reason to believe that...
Enough, Mr. Holmes. I see what it is. You suspect it has material importance to the detonation of your bomb. Don't bias the inquiry further. I must form my own conclusions.
Excellent. Very sound practice.
How can I reach you?
Send a note to 221B Baker Street when you have the results. No offense, Professor, but I've rarely whiffed such a rank odour.
No offence taken. One man's perfume is another's offal. The smells do have their uses. I believe the neighbours think I'm experimenting with new mixtures of fertiliser.
Contrary to the old saw, ignorance is never bliss, but it may serve a purpose. May I have a word with Mr. Silverbridge?
Without prejudice to your religious affiliation, Mr. Holmes, might you have your Christian name?
Holmes will suffice.
If you say so, sir. Please wait here.
You find the woman in the painting beautiful, Watson?
Very lovely. I'm smitten.
Control yourself. Note the wedding ring. Mrs. Silverbridge, I shouldn't wonder.
One may admire without... You're still here? I thought you might have tired of the wait.
What is the problem, Hepplethwaite? Won't he see us?
As it happens, Mr. Silverbridge is indisposed and cannot be disturbed.
You gave him my name?
I did, and he does not know you. Mycroft Holmes, yes, but you, sir, he neither knows nor wishes to include in his acquaintance at present. May I show you to the door?
I can be reached at 221B Baker Street. Please tell him that I am available at his earliest convenience. It appears a child has been given the run of the house. Where is the lad?
At school, I should think. Or perhaps Silverbridge himself is of a juvenile turn of mind.
The puerile MP? They certainly act like children sometimes, but I doubt that explanation will serve in this instance. The possessions suggest an active lad. Would you not agree, Watson?
My child's mind envies the bounty. Still, he seems a housebound boy, and that can't be all good.
Silverbridge has read the newspapers, I presume?
We have. His sympathies to you. The master anticipates a complete recovery for Chairman Holmes.
That's most reassuring. Where is the child whose toys litter the room?
Master Virgil's habits can be of no concern to you. If that's all, you may leave.
Talk of the boy seems to have struck a nerve.
His demeanour changed. But is the alteration significant? He might simply be one of those suffocatingly protective family retainers.
Perhaps, but I think I saw more than duty in his eyes. Come in, Mrs. Hudson. It's from the yard, Watson. Listen. A body pulled from the Thames at the Needle is not the usual type. Conventional identification impossible. Ticket stubs from the Whitehall line suggest a civil servant. As you aren't currently engaged, you might find it diverting. I would welcome your assistance. Respectfully, G. Lestrade.
Very civil of him. He wants your help.
Well, we won't throw it away. Keep it for a rainy day, but I have other fish to fry. Silverbridge, Pratt and Lord Lawton are listed in Kelly's. We'll have to find the others by more inventive means.
Did Mycroft hold specific suspicions of any one of the seven, do you suppose?
Hard to say. but conspiracy implies multiple suspects. Recommendations, Watson?
Nothing material, Holmes, I'm sorry. Despite your best efforts, I've understood little of what I've seen or heard.
But you have an inclination, surely.
You might assert more of your own presence in the investigation. Yours is the finest mind for detection in the world. I don't believe you have fully exploited the leads that you have taken such pains to develop.
That a corpse has eclipsed the imagination of Scotland Yard is hardly remarkable.
Have you deduced the cause of death? Was it murder, misadventure, or natural causes?
Suicide, I shouldn't wonder. The body is obviously unrecognizable, perhaps from being submerged for a time.
Might we solve the mystery for him?
Lestrade evidently thinks so. On the other hand, he may simply be trying to occupy me. His idea of kindness.
A kind thought must count for something.
You have a more generous disposition than I, Watson. What does your intuition tell you about our next move?
Nothing. But cold reason suggests we should investigate Lestrade's nameless corpse.
What makes you say so?
Prudence. Lestrade is holding out an olive branch. Take it. He wants no animosity between you. Besides, he could compromise the confidentiality of our inquiries were he to get wind of them. He will be less interested in what you are doing if he thinks you are occupied on his behalf.
Your reasoning is sound, Watson, but I don't think I'm available to its inducements.